I have with me today Peter Kress. Peter is the Vice President and CIO at ACT's Retirement Life Communities. Peter, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today.
My pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation.
Excellent. So Peter, to start with, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career so far.
Back in the 80s, a bunch of us got into technology. We got into right around the time the PC was coming in. And so we all had non-standard backgrounds. In fact, I started at divinity school, and I learned to use a word processor as part of being a grad student, and fell in love with the technology. So I quit the divinity school and started as a computer consultant there in the mid-'80s. But ACTS ended up being one of my biggest customers in a consulting gig I had, and I joined ACTS Retirement Life Communities Incorporated, first as a consultant and later on full-time in it's hard to go back to the 1900s, isn't it?
You know, it is. Technology is changing so fast.
1996, and have been leading the information technology group there. You know, we've gone through lots of stages of technology in those many years, but right now we're focused especially on resident engagement technologies that allow us to help every one of our 6,000 employees be best of class concierge providers to each of our 9,000 residents. And exploring how resident engagement technologies can support our services and create great resident experiences has been probably one of the most exciting things I've worked on.
Excellent. So what are the key technology trends that you see shaping the future of healthcare? And are there any specific ones that ACTS is focused on?
Sure. You know, ACTS Retirement Life Communities is a large nonprofit provider of a full continuum of services for our residents. And as our residents join us, perhaps in their 70s or even 80s, and they expect to live the rest of their lives with us and to receive care in independent settings, but also have available to them assisted and skilled and home health and a variety of other settings as well. So that continuum provides a very interesting opportunity. In fact, while we call ourselves part of healthcare, we're just as happy calling ourselves part of the hospitality industry. Although the difference between us, say, and a cruise ship experience is, you can imagine, in cruise ship, you got to keep people happy with your food and amenities and services for 7 to 10 days. And our average stay is 11 years. So it's an interesting challenge, which gives me the opportunity to explore a wide range of technologies. IoT technologies are fundamentally important in campus settings such as what we have. We think IoT is going to smarten up our apartments, our campuses, our transportation, other sectors. It becomes a context within which we deliver services. Of course, we do deliver care, and our care record has to span that 10, 11, 12-year average stay. So we're avid users of electronic medical records technology, and I've spent many years partnering across the organization, across the industry to ensure that aging services standards are a component of electronic health record conversations. But I mentioned earlier, I'm especially excited about technologies that allow us to create great resident experiences, whether they're care experiences or wellness experiences or support experiences, or basically just great hospitality and amenity experiences. And very excited that, hey, we're a business like everybody, so I have the normal set of business technologies, business intelligence technologies, and so forth. So I actually think that in our retirement community sector, we're actually users of most of the trends, the BI trends, the machine learning trends, the decision support trends are important for us. IoT generates a huge amount of data. We expect to leverage all of that. We, of course, are involved in interoperability, and technology for us is not just a tool, it actually becomes part of the lifestyle of our residents.
So it looks like you are up to implementing a lot of exciting technology. You spoke about IoT, analytics, and so on. So what do you see as the biggest challenge to adopting new things?
Well, the pace of technology is fast enough that ensuring that your team is able to continue to learn and relearn is always one challenge. It's making sure that the talent, not just of your technology teams, but your management teams, your frontline workforces, finding effective ways to help them to refresh their experiences, refresh their capabilities and skills is, I think a huge challenge. Our industry has to learn to invest more in this space, and I think we are. And certainly at ACTS, we continue to make new investments, recognizing that technology enables everything else that we're doing. So actually being able to carry through a technology and get to great results is especially difficult, isn't it, in a time in which there are new technology strategies evolving almost as fast or even faster than you can get deployed and working and producing results from older technologies. So that managing that shift, managing how you ride the waves, how do you make sure you're delivering great results while preparing yourself for the next wave, that's an interesting challenge all on its own.
So obviously CAST has been playing a big role in standardizing some of these technologies and so on. So what do you see as the key value that CAST brings to ACTS?
Well, CAST I think brings value to many different stakeholders. CAST has its members, not only large-scale providers such as ourselves, but many small providers. And of course, it's also a place where vendors and researchers and policymakers and others participate. I think a big part of the value to ACTS as a large vendor is the networking opportunities. It gives us a chance to sit at the table together with technology leaders, not just traditional vendors selling specifically into our space, but to technology companies who are trying to shape the future and make sure that we have a voice with them, and as well as giving those companies an opportunity to understand our sort of unique take. We're not hospitals. We're not the traditional healthcare space. We actually think our space is a pretty interesting space for large technology vendors to get a handle on. We're great advocates for older Americans, and not just as service providers, but we have a lot of experience that I think becomes relevant as technology companies engage. So for me, that networking aspect has been a huge benefit. From time to time, it can have a significant impact on the individual decision I'm making, but it also provides opportunity for our organization through CAST to contribute back to the knowledge of the industry and to ensure that the many providers that CAST serves have the benefit of large, middle, small, a full range of companies delivering services.
No, I agree. Obviously, you've been, Peter, you've been very successful in your career, and there is a lot of young healthcare executives that would love to have the similar kind of success that you have. So what is your advice to them?
Well, I have almost it's become a cliche for me. I mean, I believe it, but I say it's important not just to develop a narrow set of skills. Everybody in industry today, everybody in business today, everybody in nonprofits today, we have to be really good at getting things done, whether individually, disciplining ourselves, or with teams. So sort of that traditional project management space is an excellent skill set. We have to stay on top of it. The technology is shifting, and while you can't become a master of all technologies, you have to keep your finger on the pulse, so a broad set of technologies, but then you have to build some specialization. You have to be willing to dive deep in a couple of technologies. So that technology skill set is really important. But I'm going to be honest with you, for me, a real key is to also making sure you're building the domain. Don't think you're a generalist technologist or a generalist get things done person, a project manager. You have to develop a strong knowledge of the business you're in. And for me, that meant going back and doing advanced studies in aging services and gerontology and so forth, but it could be many different shapes. So for me, I tell people, make sure you're building all three focus. You're building that, how do I get things done? You're building a real domain experience in an area that you have passion for, and you're, of course, staying on top of this fast-changing technology curve.
Well, Peter, you shared some very, very interesting nuggets with us, so thank you so much. I really appreciate the time that you took to share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thanks again.